Let me tell you that until those 3 years got over, because then only I could breathe properly. Because at the end of the day, I know stock market is like a treadmill. I don't know of anybody who goes and says, I will invest in this stock for it to go down.
I want to address the other aspect that you spoke of, that many mistake perhaps IPO as a financing event. And in the context of where we are today, there is a strong pipeline of IPOs now. When they will go through, given the volatile times that we live in, I'm not sure. But what is the message that you would like to leave founders and entrepreneurs at this point in time as they look at when to IPO, with how much to IPO, and what and how much to put on the table and how much to take off?
The philosophy that we used at Infosys was, the day you take 1 paisa from an outsider who is not part of your group, we were 7 people. The day we took 1 paisa from the 8th person outside, the ball game changes, because he or she is not part of the daily deliberations. He or she has no time to get into every detail. He or she has trusted us with his or her money. Therefore, I said that ball game changes. So you have to operate like the trustees of the outsider's money. Let me tell you our own experience when we were raising funds from family and friends. We raised approximately about 60 lakhs from family and friends. And I think I did about 65%, Nandan did about 35%, others didn't participate in that. But whenever we went to my so-called well-to-do friend, they would say, will you guarantee me this return, explain this thing, show me the model, this, that, etc. On the other hand, when I went to my sisters, my friends who were not that, well educated, that well informed, they would say, are you certain that you will use this money carefully? Are you certain that you will not spend this money recklessly? And I would say, look, we will treat it as better than our own money. And it was the lower middle class, friends of mine, relatives of mine who contributed this money. So the day before we went public, I sat down with all my colleagues and said, folks, we cannot sleep well until we redeem our pledge to these people. And, we had wonderful people. I mean, at that time, Mohan had still not joined us, but there was G.R. Nayak, there was Nandan, there were other people who had done an excellent job. Nandan had done a very good job of forecasting the revenue, and G.R. Nayak grilled him. He was an old school person, and at the end he said, okay, I agree. And the reality was, we exceeded our own projections by, I think, a factor of 2, if I'm not wrong, but I may be wrong. Let me tell you that until those 3 years got over, because then only I could breathe properly. Because at the end of the day, stock market is like a treadmill. I don't know of anybody who goes and says, I will invest in this stock for it to go down. I don't know anybody. Even if the PE is 1500, which some of the companies have today, that person is expecting either the earnings to go up, even if the PE may not go up, even if the PE comes down, earnings to go up, or the PE to go up. In other words, he or she is expecting the stock price to go up. Nobody invests for health. So therefore, I would say that having an IPO is not fun. Is not to say I'm worth this many $1 billion. That's all bullshit. Because this is all illusory. This is all illusory. I've seen so many people who went up, who came down, all of that. So best thing is to be very, very practical about these issues. Think of the poorest retail investors. As Mahatma Gandhi used to say, when you take this decision, think of the poorest person and the impact of your decision on that person. So therefore, I would request all the wonderful people assembled here to think of the poorest retail investor before you decide on the IPO, because you owe that person a tremendous responsibility to redeem your pledge. That's what I would say.